Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and we've got a new box set coming from Games Workshop. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, Warcry, and some Horus Heresy content as well. Daily videos, reactions, reviews, news, painting, modeling, conversion, tutorials, and also we show off our commissions that go out of the studio. Check out our playlist if you want to take a look at some of the other content. That being said, let's jump right into what I'm calling Games Workshop's worst box ever released. And now this is based purely on how well it's going to sell, not based on what I personally think of it or anything, but let's take a look and then I'll explain to you why. So Magical Might comes to the foray in the latest Warhammer Age of Sigmar Battlebox. Arcane Cataclysm. Cool name. The winds of magic blow across the mortal realms, and in Haish, the Lumineth Realmlords and the disciples of Tzeentch battle for supremacy with arcane sorcery. And you can check out the video if you want, but we'll take a look at what's in it. Arcane Cataclysm is a new battle box for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, in which the Changer of Ways seeks magical items buried in the wastelands of Haish. Inside the box, you'll find 55 finely detailed Citadel miniatures. So obviously 55 miniatures is pretty nice for a box, especially when we know typically these Sigmar boxes are coming out around $200 and include the rulebook as well. So 55 miniatures, the rulebook, and roughly $200 price tag, $100 per side. How could this possibly be the worst box ever released by Games Workshop? We'll get there. Perfect for starting new armies or adding to the existing ones. There are also new battle plans and rules to play out the epic confrontation between these two ancient armies. Again, cool piece of art right there. As you've come to expect from battle boxes, Arcane Cataclysms contain some brand new miniatures. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed the points values of the Scinari Enlightener in the recent Warhammer Age of Sigmar updates. Now you can get your first glimpse of the powerful mage that uses the symmetry and symbolism of Haish as a weapon. So this new model looks pretty good. Obviously a female elf caster, sort of doing like the regular sort of Lumineth kind of floating thing. Very like kind of zen looking. A couple different options for the head. She has like the tri-ponytails, 2 in front and 1 in the back, or also the helmet option as well. It's got a big old sword on her back, and she is rocking this big, massive staff. Like the base and everything. Overall, gotta say, nice looking model right here. Now, the actual model itself, compared to your regular Games Workshop models, looks just a little bit, I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Looks a little bit cartoony. Not that it's bad, and maybe it has something to do with the actual paint job, but a lot of times the difference between Games Workshop minis and competitor minis is they just don't have the same like kind of realism to them. They just look a little bit blah, and oftentimes it's because they were designed using like a digital platform versus like actually being sculpted like old school miniatures were. Now again, I like the miniature. She looks good, but she definitely has that sort of like not quite polished look to her. There's almost like not enough imperfections in the model, in my opinion. Again, looks good though. I like the model. So next we have this mighty wizard is accompanied into battle by units of Vanari Dawnriders, Vanari Bladelords, and Vanari Auralan Sentinels, forming the rigid core of an elven army. So we see you have obviously like the horsemen or cavalry. Very cool models. I really like these. These are like actual regular horses, none of like the fancy crazy, kind of Lumineth style horses. Very good looking models. These are honestly awesome kit. Definitely a big fan of these. And then also we have the archers and then the double bladed ones. Now these ones are very cool. They have like the back banners and definitely have like a sort of samurai look to them. Most of them have a big double a big two-handed longsword. And then we see obviously the champion has 2 pretty big swords. Very cool models. Again, they look awesome. And then the archers, again, sort of a staple of the Lumineth or High Elves. Very nice looking models. Again, can't hate on any of this. All the models look great. Obviously the only new model is just that character for the Lumineth side. So, opposing the Lumineth Realmlords are the disciples of Tzeentch, led by the Curseling, who has a fantastic new plastic sculpt. So for this Curseling, we basically have like a Chaos Warrior in some pretty awesome armor with a big old sword, and then he has a, built into him sort of like mutation in the form of some sort of like chaos demon kind of bursting out of his body. So his left arm is actually really replaced by like the top, I don't know what you would call it, 1/3 of another creature. So he actually has like a whole separate like little creature demon head, and then a left arm of his is the demons, and then it also has like a tiny little sort of like less functioning looking arm as well. And then you see his right arm, actually the demons, is actually bursting out and just holding on to the head of this chaos beast. So again, great sculpt. I really like the kind of feathery look to it, the weird like mutations going on here. This is a great looking model. Honestly, very, very cool. And obviously some form of caster by like the staff, but also probably formidable in melee as well, as it is fully armored and has the sword. So typically with casters, you see them like a little less armored. This dude looks like he is ready to battle. Very cool model. While the Scinari Enlightener is pure wizard, the Curseling is also pretty handy in a fight, as you might expect from someone with that many extra hands, especially when he's backed up by Tzaangor Enlightened, Kairic Acolytes, and a horde of Tzaangors. So here we see the Tzaangor Enlightened, very cool models. They are basically like Tzaangor casters. They can also be built not as the casters, but with bows as well, so they can be more of like a sort of like flying mobile ranged unit. And then we have the Acolytes, which are basically like your cultists. And then we have the Tzaangors, which are sort of like a cross between like a demon and a cultist. Again, all the models in the set are very cool. We're only seeing, one new model for each faction, obviously. And then, we'll finish up here and I'll give you my take on it and my honest opinion why I'm a little critical of this box. The box also includes 56-page core rulebook featuring new battle plans, a token sheet, and Warscroll Cards for all the units in the box. So you're all ready to get your Lumineth Realmlords and Disciples of Tzeentch onto the tabletop. So again, I really like the fact that you get these special books in this. It's fun. A lot of times these forces aren't balanced specifically against each other, but the missions in the book give you like the different balance, or one side will have a stronger force, but less favorable battle conditions or win conditions. And then obviously you get all the Warscroll cards, which is cool for the new characters. It's nice to have Warscroll cards just in general. And then obviously the token sheets as well. So once again, this is going to come with the mini rulebook also. And you basically, well, I assume it comes with the mini rulebook. I believe they said that. So you basically just need dice and you can play the game with everything inside of here. So we'll have more on the Arcane Cataclysm box set as we get closer to the release date. So that being said, why am I so critical of this box set? Well, in my opinion, obviously SIgmar is not nearly as popular. These box sets have not even been selling out, even though they have 50-something miniatures compared to your typical Warhammer 40k box set, which is the same price or more and has like 10 or 15 miniatures. So massive difference in what you're getting component-wise in these boxes for the same price, because SIgmar is just much, much less popular. They cannot charge that Warhammer 40k tax the same way that they do, obviously, for like 40k or even Horus Heresy. So that being said, these models contained in here, I mean, Tzaangors are literally the least desirable models in all of the Warhammer range. Not because they don't look cool, but because there's just so many of them floating around and their rules just aren't good. So Games Workshop literally dumps 10 or 20 Tzaangors in every single thing they can. If it has Tzeentch in it, you're getting 10 or 20 Tzaangors, absolute minimum. And a perfect example is the Start Collecting box for Warhammer 40,000. I mean, it has 20 Tzaangors in it. I'm sorry, I said Start Collecting box. I actually mean the oh my gosh, Combat Patrol. The Combat Patrol is loaded with Tzaangors, and you don't even get any, actual Rubric Marines. And every box they release is literally loaded with like 10 or 20 Tzaangors. As far as Kairic Acolytes, again, they're cool models. I really like them. They're very cool. They're very detailed. They're awesome for like cultists if you want to use them in 40k, or they're basically like the Sigmar version of cultists. But you give them a couple pistols or something, you can use them in 40k. Very cool models. Again, but there's just a plethora of these things floating around, and they just pack them in every chance they can to like take up space and get rid of them. So in my opinion, it's not that these are bad models, but you're basically just taking up a 20 count of models here and a 10 count of models here. So 30 of your 56 models are like the most like just overpopulated models in the entire range, and honestly, nobody really wants them, or it wouldn't be an issue. But there's just way too many of them. Now, Tzaangor Enlightened, great models, obviously very useful. Not going to hate on them. And then the character is very cool. I like that as well. Not going to hate on him either. And then as far as going over to the Lumineth are by far the worst selling faction in SIgmar. These things still to this day sell for a fraction of the release price on these. You can still find Lumineth box sets that when they came out were priced at, I believe it was $150 or $170 for the box set, and you can still to this day find those box sets for like $100 to $125 because no one wants them, and they're loaded with most of these miniatures. You don't get the sword bros in them, but you get a lot of like the spearmen and then some of the cavalry as well. So even though these models aren't inside the Lumineth range just is not popular at all. Very, very few people play Lumineth. They have completely oversaturated the market with these models, and they don't sell. They sell at a substantial discount from retail. So in my opinion, and then again, very cool model. Again, I nitpicked a little bit, but overall great model. Love to have it. Very cool for like D&D or Sigmar or whatever. But the truth is, they have basically taken two of the least popular or arguably worst factions in Sigmar, put them against each other in a box, and then loaded that box up with a bunch of the least desirable models or least popular or most abundant models that literally exist. So if you don't know anything about third-party market, or you're not looking at picking up any of these models, you might have no idea that they sell for a fraction of the price. But the fact of the matter is they do. There is just so many Tzaangors floating around. There's so many Kairic Acolytes floating around. And Lumineth is by far the least popular Sigmar. So they basically took a bunch. To me, this just looks like they took the least popular factions and loaded it up with the worst models that no one wants. And now they're trying to sell this as a battle box. Now, we know for sure that compared to retail prices, what you get in these battle boxes is always a great deal. It's usually somewhere close to $200 for like the MSRP price. And then usually this battle box will have, somewhere between $300 and typically close to $400 worth of value in it compared to retail prices, MSRP. So sure, you're getting 50% off to buy this box and get everything in it and 2 new characters. But realistically, you're buying stuff that you could literally buy cheaper, probably a lot of it separately. So if you went and looked at, retail price MSRP on some Tzaangors, and then you looked at what price it costs to actually buy a unit of Tzaangors, you can easily buy them for 50% off MSRP or less. And same with the Kairic Acolytes as well. Very cool models, but you can buy them for a fraction of the MSRP price. So in my opinion, what this looks like to me is, it looks like just a way to unload a bunch of inventory that's sitting around and not for the benefit of the players. So, again, is this going to be a good deal for this box? If it's $200 and you're getting $400 worth of minis, sure, it's a good deal. Is it going to be fun? Is there definitely some cool models in here that would be great to collect, pick up, and play? For sure. But this is a great deal versus MSRP, but is the first time you really have to evaluate what comes in the set and say, hey, do I really want all this stuff? And now that being said, am I going to pick it up to get these unique characters? Maybe. I mean, I don't have a lot of the Lumineth models that come in the set. I have a bunch of Dawnriders and a bunch of the Spearmen. I don't have any of these guys. I may have some archers, but I don't have too many archers. So it's some nice stuff. But is it worth picking up this box? I'm really not sure. This is the first one of the Sigmar boxes that has come out in a very, very long time that I will not be just auto picking up. And especially with now that we know the release schedule for GW, they're not making you wait behind the paywall like they have previously for these characters nearly as long. So a lot of times they're putting out these battle boxes, and then within 1 or 2 weeks from the pre-order for the battle box, you can pre-order the models, the characters, which that's great. I'm not hating on that at all. I think that's how it always should be. The whole like putting out a battle box, putting a couple unique models in it, and then making everybody who doesn't buy that box wait 6 months to get the models or the rules is absolutely atrocious and a horrible business tactics. I mean, it's good for business, but it's bad for the community. That being said, they haven't been doing that lately. So now the only incentive that I would normally have to buy this box is basically gone. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be picking this one up. We'll see. But the truth is, they have basically taken the least popular faction in SIgmar, or one of the top least popular factions in SIgmar in the Lumineth, and then they have combined them with a bunch of models that everyone already has way too many of, and then they've used it basically, in my opinion, just to build up the model count. Because here's 30 of our 56 models, and typically what's so appealing about these big box sets is that you get a ton of models, a ton of value, and a great price in comparison to retail. That being said, this box is going to flop big time. I'm not saying no one's going to buy any of them. I'm sure they're going to sell some, but I fully suspect, and I've talked about boxes that have come out at 170, 200, even more than that, that are before long being sold for 50% off MSRP because there's just way too many of them and they're not selling. This will be one of those boxes. You can already find the most recent 2 SIgmar battle boxes, maybe 3 now, that have come out. Retailing in the United States would be $200 basically. You can find those boxes online consistently for about $140, and I suspect the price will continue to go down. As first it was $200 retail, then it was $180, then it was $160, and now they're down as low as like $140. I've actually seen them lower than that, brand new, online as well. So I fully suspect this will be one of those boxes that you can pick up online for probably somewhere around $100, $120, maybe $140, depending on how long you're willing to wait. So in my opinion, cool contents inside the box, poor decision of factions, and also what is actually in the box. So I like the models, but this actual box set will completely flop. I can say that with certainty. I would say there's a 75 to 90% chance that you can buy this box months from now, a few months from now, at literally $140, $120, or even $100, which is half of MSRP, which basically means that retailers will be dumping this box on the open market at break even or at a loss just to get them off the shelves. So we'll have to wait and see if I'm right, but in my opinion, this is essentially Games Workshop just trying to dump stock that's not selling on the consumer. So we'll see. Horrible decision on GW's part. They should at least put one popular or desirable faction in here, or they should load it up with a bunch of models that aren't already flooding the scene. But that's it for today. Overall, am I being overly critical of the contents of this box? Maybe. If you don't have any of these contents, it's definitely a good deal. If you don't buy anything on the third party market or look at prices in forums, trade groups, or online third party retailers or resellers, you probably would have no idea that this box is going to be a complete flop. But I'm telling you right now, again, with very high level of certainty, this box is going to be a complete flop, and you'll be able to buy this at a fraction of the MSRP price in a few months from now. So, but that's it. Going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me and why. I'm always curious to hear back from you guys, but I'm telling you right now, I'm very sure about what's going to take place here. So, cool characters. This would be a great character for like D&D or something like that, for like an elf caster or something like that. Definitely a nice model, especially that one specifically, and then also especially this guy right here. Again, very cool model. I like it. Super unique, great looking sculpt. No complaints about this. But again, we know that the models are going to be sold separately for probably somewhere between $33 and $35 within a couple weeks of after this box comes out. And we know this box, we don't know for sure, but I suspect this box will be available for a fraction of retail. Matter of fact, I would bet with 95% certainty you can pick this box up online at a discount for about $140 within, let's say, 3 months from now. So I'll do a follow-up video, or you can let me know if you think I'm wrong in the meantime, and then I'll obviously show it off later on. So but that's it for this box. Cool contents, but very, very poor selection of factions, and then also like the actual contents inside, just because there's so much of this floating around. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. If you enjoyed today's video, if you like when I speculate on stuff, let me know down below. Some people get very aggravated when I speculate, even though I'm usually right. As a matter of fact, 95% of the time I'm right. I speculate on all type of different things, how things are going to sell, Games Workshop's actual numbers, and very soon we have the semi-annual report coming up. So before that comes out, I will once again speculate on what I expect, and then we'll do a follow-up as well afterwards and a breakdown. Obviously, if you've only been following the channel for some time, my career leading up to basically present has been in finance. So I'm very familiar with how to break down fundamentals and technicals of various stocks, prices, sales, all of the various ratios for calculating value. And I actually predict Games Workshop stock in advance and the exact fall of the initial 50% that it's down now. So Games Workshop stock has been down 50% over the last few months, and I fully expect it will be dropping heavy afterwards, probably actually leading right up to the semi-annual report. So if you enjoyed today's video on the speculation, if you're into Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and Warcry, even some Horus Heresy content, make sure to like and subscribe. If you like to see daily videos, reactions, reviews, news, painting, modeling, conversion tutorials, or just want to see how we do commissions and what they look like going out of the studio, make sure to check out our playlist as well. That's it for today, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.